The rain had just stopped in a small town outside Phoenix, Arizona. The streets were quiet, and the evening air smelled like wet asphalt. Near an old bus stop sat a homeless man named Walter. Walter was about 60 years old. His beard was gray and uneven, and his jacket had seen better days. Ooh-da! Most people passed him without even looking. Some avoided him completely. But Walter wasn't always homeless. Years ago, he worked as a construction worker. After an accident and years of medical bills, life slowly pushed him onto the streets. Still, Walter had one thing many people had lost: good heart. Every evening he sat near the same bus stop with a small wooden stick he used as a walking cane. Evenings, something unusual caught his attention. A black SUV rolled slowly down the street and stopped near the park across from him. Walter didn't think much of it at first. But then he heard a child's voice. "Let me go." Walter looked up quickly. Two men wearing dark hoodies were dragging a small boy toward the SUV. The boy couldn't have been older than eight. Ian. Walter's heart dropped. No one else was around. The street was empty. The boy struggled and kicked, but the men were too strong. One of them snapped angrily. "Stop fighting!" Walter stood up slowly, gripping his wooden stick. He knew he was old. He knew he was weak. But he also knew something else. If he did nothing, that boy would disappear. Walter took a deep breath and shouted, "Hey!" The men turned. One of them laughed when he saw him. "Look at this! A homeless hero!" Walter didn't move. "Let the kid go," he said firmly. The second thug smirked. "Or what?" Walter didn't answer. Instead, he started walking toward them, slowly, stick in hand. The boy saw him and shouted desperately, "Help me!" That was enough. One thug stepped forward to scare Walter away. Big mistake. Walter swung his stick hard, striking the man's arm. Crack. The thug yelled in pain. The second man rushed toward Walter angrily. Walter backed up but kept swinging the stick. Another hit landed. Then another. Walter fought with everything he had. He wasn't strong, but he was determined. The attackers hadn't expected resistance, especially from a homeless man. One of them cursed. "Forget it. Let's go. Let's go." They shoved the boy aside and jumped back into the SUV. The tires screeched as the vehicle sped away into the dark street. For a moment, everything went quiet. Walter stood there breathing heavily. His hands were shaking. The boy ran straight toward him. Thank you," he said, almost crying. Walter knelt down slightly. "Hey, you okay, kid?" The boy nodded. My dad is going to be here soon. He's picking me up from the park." Walter helped him sit on the bench. A few minutes later, the distant roar of motorcycles filled the street. Not just one, dozens. Walter looked up in surprise. About 20 motorcycles rolled into the parking lot. Leather jackets, heavy boots, patches. They belonged to the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. At the front was a tall biker with a thick beard. The boy's face lit up. Dad!" He ran toward the man. The biker jumped off his motorcycle instantly. "Anda, what happened?" he asked, checking his son for injuries. The boy pointed toward Walter. "That man saved me." The biker walked slowly toward the homeless man. Walter suddenly felt nervous. But then something unexpected happened. The biker removed his gloves and extended his hand. "You protected my boy," he said. Walter shook it awkwardly. "I just did what anyone should do." The biker looked at him for a moment. Then he turned to the other bikers. "This man stood alone against kidnappers to protect my son." The bikers nodded with respect. One of them said quietly, "That takes courage." The leader looked back at Walter. "Do you have a place to sleep tonight?" Walter hesitated. Not really." The biker smiled slightly. "You do now." That night, Walter didn't sleep on the street. The bikers took him to their clubhouse, gave him food, clean clothes, and a warm bed. But the story didn't end there. A few weeks later, Walter got something he never expected again: a job. One of the bikers owned a small repair shop and hired him as a night caretaker. For the first time in years, Walter had stability, all because one evening a homeless man with nothing but a wooden stick chose courage over fear. And sometimes, heroes aren't the people with power. They're the ones who choose to stand up, even when they have nothing.